And at the end of the day, all of us, we're not judged by our intentions. We are judged by what we actually accomplish. And your accomplishments are going to be entirely determined by what you actually do.
You go over one more time. You are not where you're supposed to be because of you. You are not where you're supposed to be because of you. You are not where you're supposed to be financially because of you. It's all you.
You have got to change the way you think. It is the whole determining factor of where you go in life.
And my talk is going to be about that, how to take action, exactly what action is made up of, and why it's critical to recognize that humans lead with belief. And so at the end of this talk, hopefully I will get you guys to understand why right now you have everything that you need already to believe in yourself, to be capable to do something that is truly extraordinary, and we're going to walk through that path. But for my talk to make any sense, I'm going to have to give you guys a little bit of my backstory. Not that I can see a whole lot, but is anybody familiar with me prior to 7 seconds ago? When you learned that I wake up, wow. Well, I'm completely shocked by that. Thank you, by the way. So to give those of you who don't know a little bit of background, my story goes like this. Growing up, I did not show any signs of success.
And it's because you're having a bad moment. You are human. You are human. I had a thought the other day, human. And I had it, I was on the treadmill, I had it for about 60 seconds, then I had it for 90 seconds, and I was like, well, let's stop right now. Let's stop. Let's stop. Let's stop right now. I don't know why you're thinking this, because it is not helpful to where you are. It is not helpful to where you're going. Human. It might have been Tuesday or Wednesday, I was on the treadmill. Just some random dumb stuff came in my head. Just random, dumb, stupid stuff. And I was like, I do not accept that. This is my brain, not yours. I do not accept this thought right now. This thought is not healthy for my wife. It's not healthy for my kids. It's not helpful for ETA.
My parents taught me to be a good employee, which I'll liken to the slave's mentality, to keep my head down, do as little work as possible, and avoid punishment at all costs. And that's how I started. I grew up in a family in Tacoma, Washington that teetered between blue collar and white collar, and I was being trained to be a good employee. And when I left for college, my own mother, who's always been my biggest cheerleader, I think that's important to recognize, just quietly assumed I was going to fail. And every day since I left, by the way, my mom all but forced me to go to college, kicked me out of the nest. It was only one of, I think, 2 people to leave the state for my graduating class. Everybody else stayed home. I wanted to stay home. And my mom said, you need to go chase your dreams. But then every moment since then, my mom has done everything she can to get me to move back to Tacoma. And so finally one day I asked her and I said, Mom, I really don't get it. Like, why? You were the one that pushed me. You were the one that kicked me out. So why are you working so hard to get me back? And she said with no malice in her heart, I just assumed you were going to fail.
It's not helpful for APOC. It has absolutely not. It's not helpful for those of you who I help. I could not do a video from this energy right now. There's nothing healthy about what just came in my brain. I will not just let it sit there and take residence. You have to go. And so I had to think another thought that was the opposite thought of that thought. And I had to say that for 90 seconds, and guess what happens? As powerful as the brain is, and as many things that it could think of in the subconscious mind in seconds, it cannot have 2 opposing thoughts at once. Your brain does not work that way. It cannot think of 2 things at one time. It can only think one thing at a time. And I decided that the thing that randomly came to my mind, I didn't want to think about that. Oh, come on, somebody, I'm talking to you. Stop letting stuff just come in your head. Stop. You discipline yourself and you stop and say, nothing about this thought is going to help me do what I said I want to do.
I assumed you were going to fail and come home, but I never wanted you to ask, what if? I have the chills on my face remembering that. Because that's the human condition. There is something inside of us that we all recognize that says we could do more, we could be more, we are capable of becoming something. But it's that path to becoming that we don't really understand, and it's that path to becoming that I want to talk about today. I love the theme of this event, pivot, making a change while keeping your center. That to me really is what life is all about. But that's the hype. Now, how do we get into the tactical realities of that? And to explain that, I'm going to walk you through some of my story. So my story starts when I go to film school. USC Film School, statistically speaking, is harder to get into than Harvard Law. And I managed to get in.
We are all where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. If you don't like the position, think yourself out of it. Your brain is divided into two halves, positive and negative, good and evil. It don't function on nothing else. Ain't no neutral ground in your brain. It's either positive and good or negative and evil. Each half of your brain has millions of factory workers on each side. You got 1 million factory workers on the positive side. You got 1 million factory workers on the negative side. At the forefront of each one of those factories in your brain is a foreman. You got foreman positive and you got foreman negative. You are in charge. You're the boss of the factory.
So my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, said to me, Mr. Rohn, if you want the future to change for you, you've got to change. And he said, if you don't change, the next 6 years of your life is going to be just like the last 6. You'll still be behind on your bills. You'll still be behind on your promises. But then he gave it to me in the form of a promise. When I was 25 years old, I've remembered it all these years. Young man, if you will change, everything will change for you. If you will get better, everything will get better for you. What a clear message that was for me. He said, if you'll change your philosophy, if you'll change your habits, if you'll refine your thinking, if you'll change and accept some new disciplines, if you'll turn the corner where you've been in the past, go for a new life for the future, he said all kinds of remarkable things will happen for you if you will change. Before I met Mr. Schoaf, I used to cross my fingers and say, I sure hope things will change.
Guess what? We are how we think. You can't make a world, but you can make your own world. So now, since your brain is in two halves, let me show you how this works. You wake up in the morning and you say, man, I don't feel myself today. I got up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm not a morning person. Forming negative. Harvey hears that. He steps to the front. He said, what did you say? You say, I said I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I'm not myself. I'm not a morning person. He says, you got it right away. He said, hey, the boss just woke up and said he's not a morning person. He's having a bad day today, and he ain't feeling himself. Let's get to work. The 1 million factory workers start producing thoughts to justify what you just said. So now guess what? Man, I hate my alarm clock went off this morning. I got to get out here in this traffic. I want to drive down here today. I don't even like these people on my job. I can't stand this car I'm finna get in this morning.
I was hoping the government would change and the tax structure would change and that my boss would change and pay me more money, things would come down, and I was hoping that circumstances would get better. And then I discovered from my teacher that those things are going to continue the same. In fact, all of those things that happen to us is kind of like the wind that blows. But we must not leave our future just to the wind, just to the economy, just to the structure of the way things are happening today. Here's what we must learn to do, and that is set a good sail. And if you'll learn to set a good sail, and that's what my teacher taught me in those early days. He said, Mr. Rohn, the wind is going to blow however it's going to blow. Politics are going to be politics, and the economy is going to be the economy. And however it turns out, that's the way it's going to be. What you must learn to do is not to wish for a better wind. That's naive. The key is to wish for the wisdom and the skills and the learning so that you can set a better sail.